Hello and welcome to this Design Cuts video tutorial. Today we're going to look at creating and using custom color schemes in Photoshop and a few things to be aware of with color schemes. I'm going to start with the Swatches panel because we really need to have a look at that and just understand some of the ways that it works before we start. The Swatches panel is what came with this brand new document. I just created a new document. This is what my Swatches panel looks like. Let's go and create another new document with File and then New. I'll just click OK, and it again has the same color swatches panel. Let's go back to the first document that we created and let's look at this yellow color here. I have the Move tool selected. I'm just going to take this yellow color and I'm going to drop it onto the trash can. So the last color in the color palette in this document here is now blue. Let's go and see what just happened to our new document. Well, it lost the yellow color as well. So these color swatches are a little bit fragile. If you remove a color from an open swatch here in this document, then it's going to disappear from the other open documents. If you don't want this to happen, then you need to protect your color palette so that that doesn't happen. And the smartest way to do that is to, before you start working with color swatches, go and save the default one or whatever it is that you've built up over time so that whatever happens, you're not going to lose it. Here's how you can do that. Open up the Swatches panel and click the flyout menu. You're going to click Save Swatches. At this point, you'll be taken to the location where the swatches for this particular version of Photoshop are stored. And if you don't get taken there, then you need to find this and put them there. It's in my user area. So there's my Helen area. That's my username. It's in App Data, Roaming, Adobe Photoshop CC 2017. Now, if you've got multiple versions of Photoshop installed as I have, you need to choose the Photoshop version that matches the one that you're using here. Otherwise, they're going to be difficult to find later on. So even though I have 2018 installed, right now I'm using 2017. So I need to make sure that my color swatch is saved into my 2017 folder. And inside that folder, it goes into presets and then, of course, into color swatches. Now, I've already got a saved version of this, but I'm doing this now in November. So let's call this November 2017 colors. It's being saved as an ACO swatches file and I'll click Save. Now this means that if I go ahead and delete any of these colors, I can always get my swatches back. So let's go and do just that. I'm going to delete my colors, not in this panel here, but I'm going to do it through the preset manager because it's just quicker there. I'm going to open the flyout menu and I'll go to the preset manager. The preset manager shows me all the current swatches in this document. I'm going to select one and I'll shift click up here. So I've got a whole lot of them that we're just about to delete. I'm only doing that because I'm confident that I have saved the original set so I could always get them back. I'll click Done. You can see now that my swatches panel has a lot less colors in it than it did to start off with. So if you had deleted colors from your swatches panel and thought afterwards that was not the best idea, I want my colors back, then you can go and get them back. But before we do that, let's just confirm that this is the same in both documents. So again, because we've removed colors from the swatches panel, it's affecting all our open documents right now. I'll open the flyout menu and I'm going to choose Replace Swatches. What I'm going to do is replace this set with the set that I have previously saved. I don't have to save the changes to these swatches unless I really wanted to. I don't want to. I just want to go back and get that full set that I had a few minutes ago. So I'll say no to saving the changes and I'll go and get my November 2017 colors and just load them up. And here again are our colors. So I suggest that before you do any work at all with color swatches that you go and save the current set just in case things go west. You want to have your set saved so you can always get back to them. So now let's have a look at creating our own custom color swatches. I have a photograph here that has some really nice colors in it. There are lots of sort of fruit colors, oranges and greens and yellows and browns here. I want to sample some colors out of this image. I've only opened this image for the sole purpose of getting a color swatch out of it. So anything I do to the image, I don't actually plan saving the image, so the original will be quite safe. I'll choose image mode and then I'll choose index color and choose to flatten layers. Index color flattens the colors in the image, and at this point I can select how many colors I want to save. Well, I'm going to set this to 120 colors and I'll click OK. And that's limited the colors in this image to 120 colors. If we choose now image mode and color table, we'll see the 120 colors that Photoshop has extracted from this image. You can vary the number 120 and make it more or less as you wish. At this point, I want to save this color table because I want to be able to use these colors, so I'll click Save. We're going back to that exact same location. So again, in your user folder, app data, roaming, Adobe Photoshop CC, whatever version you happen to be using, presets and color swatches is where it goes on a Windows machine. Now, interestingly, the November and October colors aren't here. The reason for this is that we're about to save a color table, an ACT file. And a few minutes ago, we were working with ACO files. So we're just not seeing any ACO files in this folder. They're there, we're not seeing them. I'm going to save this and call it fruit because it has sort of fruit colors in it. And it's about to be saved as a color table ACT file. I'll click Save. At this point, I don't need this image or this document any longer. So I'm just going to close it, and I do not want to save it because it's in index color mode. The colors are all flattened. The image is flattened. I don't want to save it, so I'll click No. So what if with this new document that I had created earlier, I want to use the new fruit colors that I've created? Well, I know already that I've saved these. So they're saved away. I can get them back really easily. So let's go to the flyout menu and let's replace these swatches here with the color table that we just saved. I'll click Replace Swatches. Now I get to go to the same folder that we're storing our color swatches in, and at this stage we're just seeing the ACO files, but we know that we had an ACT file, so we're just going to go here to color table ACT, and here is our fruit ACT file. I'll click on it and I'll click Load. So now my color swatches are showing the colors that I sampled from the fruit image, which are the colors that I want to work on in the current project. Of course, this other image that's open at the same time, its color swatches are now these exact same colors as well. At any time in the future, we can go back to the original set that we had that we saved by going to the flyout menu, choose Replace Swatches. We will go and select the most recent save of our colors, click Load, and they're all loaded here for us. So just be sure to save your swatches before you start messing around with them. If you need to delete swatches, then you can go to the Preset Manager. It's the easiest place to see your swatches and delete any that you don't want. You can also go from this menu and replace the current set of swatches with a different set of swatches. You can also load additional swatches. So we could load the fruit ones at the end here. So let's just go and get the fruit ones and click Load. And they're now going to be appended to the end of the current swatch library. But you might find this process of simply adding the swatches ends up with a swatches panel that's just full of colors that you don't use. I prefer the save option and then replacing them with the colors that you need as and when you do. I hope that you've enjoyed learning these Photoshop color swatch techniques. Let us know what you think in the comments below and give us a thumbs up if you like the tutorial. Until next time, I'm Helen Bradley for Design Cuts.